Hey guys, I just thought I'd stop to document some of the work I'm doing on this tank. Started out as a basic Heng long tank. There's the bottom, there's the top. On the top I changed it to a bit of a sci-fi theme, added a little mini camera at the front. On the back left here there's a battery bank, 5 volts, 5.2 volts, same again on the other side. The other side, that battery bank runs into under the chassis and powers the camera there, while the back left battery bank is there to power some lights which will be going at the front of the tank at the bottom. Basically I've just started creating an exhaust for the tank because smoke used to come out of the back, underneath the back of the tank chassis there where I've glued it and plasticed it up, if that's a word. And it used to come out under here, but the problem is when you're going through the mud, the water will just go straight up underneath here, straight into the bay and flood the compartment inside. So what I did there is I covered it off with plastic, and the smoke unit goes in here, and as the smoke comes up, it should then come out nicely in through the exhaust there. I'm trying to make the tank waterproof up to the plastic level at least, so I really want the waterproofing to go up to about here for the tank, so you can go in water up to that depth. I don't want it going past there because there's not much I can do about insulating the inside of the turret motor and the turret gears. What was I going to say? This battery bank here is going to connect up to a LED light which was running the machine gun, and on the controller there's a button for it, so when you press the button on the controller the machine gun flashes, you know, a red machine gun LED, and that's 6 volts. So if I hook that 6 volts from that there up to this 5-6 volts here to get 11-12 volts, what I can then do is use the controller button to turn the lights on at the front of the tank, and the lights will go under here. They'll go along there, and there'll be LEDs, but they'll be waterproof LEDs, because if they're not waterproof, don't bother, they'll just die and start flickering in 10 seconds. Where the battery comes in here, the wires come in from the battery here, I'm going to snip those and extend them and bring them here, because on the wires I'm going to put step up but take the tank from 7.2 volts to start out at 10 volts and then twiddle it up maybe to 12 volts if it needs the extra juice. I've started wrapping watertight plastic around the motors, so when the water gets, if the water gets in here, they don't bridge the motor and then just kill them or spark out. What I was going to say, I'm going to build an inside plastic tub here, a little inside plastic tub out of this plastic. I'll cut it into fashion little cubicles. I'll make one little cubicle for the smoke system at the back here, so the cubicle goes in, the smoke unit goes into the cubicle, and that'll make sure that's watertight to bring it up over this layer. I'll do the same for this main control here which runs everything, and then I'll do, as I say, the same for the step up board there. What I'm about to do now, now I've had a smoke because it's really highly flammable, is I'm going to cover this up here, which is the receiver crystal, and then I'm going to take out the motors here, take the tracks off, and then the inside bottoms, the inside of the base, I'm going to go around with spray rubber. It really is super flammable gear, so I'm going to go around with the rubber all over the place. As I say, these will be taken out and I'll do the base, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a layer of gaffer tape over the rubber around the insides of it, and then spray it again with the rubber, and then put the plastic cubicles in. So between the 3 layers on the inside of the hull and then the inner plastic layers to just make sure it keeps more water out, that should really cover it for the depths of water up to about there, I reckon. And of course I'll do the same with all this to make sure it's watertight, and I might even spray along here and do the same with the top, so when they both connect up and they're screwed together they should have even further sealing. So this is test one. Let me go do some spraying. So guys, I've just sprayed this thing, and I've give it 3 licks of rubber, liquid rubber there, and I've also done the tracks, these plastic tracks. They do feel actually like they've got more grip than the plastics. Plastics seem very slip through your fingers. These ones are actually a bit better. So I want to try those before I go for metal ones, and same with these wheels, see if I can give them a bit of a battering before I look for the metal ones. What I was going to say, I had to go back around some of the areas in the tank with the glue gun and then go over them again with the liquid rubber. I don't know how well this light's going to show you there. You can see the crystal sticking out of the base, and I covered that over with a bit of a plug cap while I was spraying. And now it is time to test whether this just lets a load of water in, or to see if I've actually done anything to it. There's holes through there, so where the front drive wheels are going to be popping out, but I intend to put washers on there, on the drive wheels inside the wheel, see if that keeps some water out from going through the drive shafts to the motors. But I can always nip over the paint job afterwards, which I intend to do. But let's see if this thing drowns. Okay, 3 days later and 5 coats of rubber later, and I've finally done this tank. Took at least 20 to 30 glue sticks to add to the rubber to get all the little wart holes, but I've finally got there. What was I going to say, around this crystal here, you can see how I've glued it in place because the water was sneaking through there. The rubber layer looks pretty decent. You can see some air bubble holes in it. With this last glue gun layer that I've just left out to show you, what I've done is I've done all the rubber layers, and then I've added another glue gun layer just to where the bits that were giving little bits leaks, and I've done the same with the front as well. So last job is to just spray those with the last coating of rubber. These bays are fine on either side here, they're not letting any water in. This bay at the back's quite fine as well, but I just give it a last go over. In the corners where the screws go in, like there, at the back, I made sure I glue gunned it pretty heavily, because it just seemed to be that one back corner was letting water in, but that one seems quite fine. Honestly, it's weird, isn't it, how one side's weaker than the other, and I taped them equally. Still, no mind, I'm now going to put everything back in there and see what it looks like. The gears are back in, and I've had a test ride of the thing. What's to note? 3 coatings of spray on rubber on the sides did a pretty good job, and then I welded it in the bays. I took off the board where the receiver chip goes, so there's the receiver crystal. That crystal's dead. That didn't survive the first testing of the water stage. Don't know what went wrong. I can only presume water came in from underneath there. So what I did is I took off the board, which used to clip on there over there and screw into these 4 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I put them in a bag, and then I sealed it super tight. And I just left the aerial wire coming out and the power wire leading into the thing. That's awesome, because that now sneaks down there. This webbing is glue gun webbing, and the rubber was cut good. It did 99% of the tank, but certain parts just wouldn't have it and needed glue gunning. What I'm now looking forward to is getting another spray can because I've run out. Apparently that spray can could do 5 square feet in 3 coats. I think that was being a bit generous on the tin there. But now I've run out, I'm going to get another tin, and I'm just going to go over this glue gunning because it's all watertight. But if I drive this in the water now, I had a quick go earlier, it's fine, the water doesn't get in. But if I put it in the water and I push down, give it a bit of force, then you can just see the little bubbles and this very small amount just dribbling in to the into the bottom. So it's pretty good for now. The glue gun glue is pretty solid. And this one's a bit of a weak spot, but I've got a few of these boards, these controllers. I can get in there, good enough. What did I notice? I just had it on. I've put a step-up board in here, and you can see where it's melted the plastic cover that I put around it there, and that's because when I've been running it at 12 volts. That's pretty mental, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty good though. It's only around this bit that seems to be getting the hottest bit, around the back bit. Around these bits, which I thought may have been the hottest, seems they're the coolest. I was going to say, this is a step-up board, which is boosting the 7.2 volts coming out of the battery in there, and it's boosting it up to go into the controller here so it can fire it to the motors there, right? Which is all good. And as you can see, that when you're riding it about and you know, you're trying to drive it up walls and stuff, then it gets a little warm. I'm just going to put another bag around that and put another tie there and see if I can kind of dodge that heat. Maybe put a little bit of cardboard there to stop it rubbing on the bag. That sits quite nicely between there, which is cool, between the motors at the front. And I'm just going to put some 12 volt scale electric waterproof LEDs here and here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hook those up, and this here, you can see the wiring for the turret, and this little LED is the flashing red LED for the machine gun. And I'm just going to desolder that and that there, so this gives like, what, 6 volts. And then I'm going to put that leading into a wire connecting to this battery bank, which is an extra 5.2 volts to get like 11 volts. And I'm hoping between those two, it's going to run the LED lights. And I can either use 2 free LED scale electric waterproof lights, because if you remember, they're going to go on the front there, which means they're always going to be in the mud, and normal lights won't have it LEDs. Oh, I could use something like this one, which is a 12 centimeter light strip, and I could see if I could just get it, which would be nice, to go in there like that, and then the wire will go into the chassis through this little hole there, and this wire at the end of it, the wires, they'll get hooked up in series, as I said, to this LED for the machine gun. I desolder that now, and I'll hook that up to the battery bank so it gets full 12 volt when I press the button on the transmitter. So let me just have a quick go at that one.